Hey there everybody, Kevin here from the My Song of the Day Rock 2000 to Today YouTube channel. And today I'm going to be going through my top 10 list of favorite songs from a band that I really started getting into during the middle of 2017 onward and really helped me out during what I characterize as the absolute worst period in my life. They inspired hope and they helped me get through it, so I felt like a top 10 songs list from this band is perfect. So here we are, my top 10 songs from Skillet. So why am I doing Skillet, especially after that intro? Well, during the worst period of time in my life, between like middle of the year 2017 and MLB opening day 2018, so about a 9-month span, that was easily the worst part of my life up to date, and it was a time where my mind was just completely deteriorated on me given the situation. So just to let you guys know kind of a context of what that all entailed, the girl that I'd been dating for a year up to that point, we broke up at the end of June of that year. And I tried to like bottle up all my feelings, but what ended up happening was I kind of just lost myself in that and just hated myself for what had happened. And I just completely regretted my whole entire life up to that point. I was working at a job, like a temp job, and I'd been there for over 4 or 5 months at that point. And I had no idea if I was going to stay on or not because my contract had been up for 2 months. So I was literally living one day at a time. Like, am I going to be working? Am I not going to be working? And it was just horrible. I did get hired on full time at the end of 2017. So I got a little bit better on that end, but it just wasn't good. I couldn't sleep at all. Like I couldn't sleep at all. There were nights where I just go completely sleepless. I mean, there's a good amount of nights I go like 1 to 2 hours of sleep consistently and just have to go through the whole entire day. And I just was not dealing with the transition between life in college and life in the real world. And even during that time, I did get suicidal thoughts and like suicidal tendencies. And I did try a couple of times, and it was just, I mean, it was just the most horrible thing I've ever gone through my entire life. It's still hard to talk about, but it's a little bit easier now that time has passed and I've talked about it a little bit more openly, but this is one of the times, I think in the first video, that I really kind of went full on into it a little bit more. But during that time period when I was just like completely and utterly devastated, there were 3 bands that I really was listening to heavily that helped me make sure that I'm still here today. One of them is my favorite band, Rise Against, because their music brought a sense of normalcy to me because that's what I always listened to. However, it was really hard to kind of take that music back because the girl that I had been with for a year, but we broke up, I met her at a Rise Against concert, so that was tough. 30 Seconds to Mars is another one because the dark themes of A Beautiful Lie was something I really, really resonated well with. But then the more hopeful style of This Is War, that album kind of let me think, you know, you can still make it one more day, one more day. But then the other band is Skillet. And with Skillet, it was more than, you know, one more day. It was more hopeful of, you can beat this. You got this. It was a thing that always kept me going further and further and further. It was the band that just kept me driving forward, that I could beat whatever the hell was keeping me down with all the depression, the suicidal tendencies, that I was going to be able to defeat that. And there are a good amount of songs from them that I still hold completely dearly to this day. So let's just get on into it. Let's just go. Top 10 Skillet songs of all time for me. So my 10th favorite song from Skillet is the song Hero. And when it comes to like the overall sound of the song, I mean, it's a little bit different than really what you'd hear from a lot of other Skillet songs. They have that real hard rock tone, and it's really driven through the instrumentation on this one, especially the intro. The guitar work on it sounds like it's kind of like got this like weird like distortion, like a dystopian style to it, like life as we know it is coming to an end, or there's something that's going to try and bring life as we know it to an end. And it really gives a great feel to the song. But I think the other thing is the drumming, especially in the first part of the verses, really drives the whole entire song, because I call it complex. And the reason I say that is because it sounds simple, but there's a lot going on there, especially when I looked at the drum track for it. I just thought, oh my God, there's so much more going on here that Jen Ledger is doing that I really wasn't aware of at that point. But you know what? I really like the way that it sounds, especially in the first 30 seconds. I can listen to that first 30 seconds of the song over and over and over again, and it wouldn't get tiring. Lyrically, John Cooper has come out, especially in concerts, and said the song is about his hero, Jesus Christ, and kind of also relating to how we can see heroes within people here, especially right now with first responders and people in the medical profession during the COVID-19 pandemic. And vocally, I love to see what John and Jen did with the whole entire, you know, you're doing different things where you have the rougher style vocals of John Cooper and then the smooth, cleaner vocals from Jen Ledger and how they played off each other. It really brought a whole entire nice balance to the whole entire song, and I really did like that. Now, my personal connection to the song, this is the one song that I don't really have a full-on personal connection to, as you'll see with the rest on this list. But one thing you'll see is that I had looked through all the songs. I'm like, what song do I like the most that I don't have that deep personal connection with? And sounds great. And Hero is the one. So let's get to the next one. So coming number 9, I have the song Lions off the Unleashed album. Now, this is going to be the whole outlier song for me due to the fact that I like it when Skillet goes with more of that hard rock sound, and that when their lyrical content is very hopeful and inspiring with those Christian undertones to it, but isn't overtly that way. This song is the outlier on that, and taking a look at instrumentally, it has this simplistic guitar style, simplistic drums, but what really makes it stand out is the keyboard work from Corey Cooper on this one to give it much more of this like electronic sound, a little bit more of like a poppy sound, but it's not too poppy. It's rather uplifting overall, and you really get the feeling of that throughout the whole entire song. It's just uplifting and it's powerful. You look at the lyrical content on Lions, and it's all about how, you know, if we believe and have faith in God, we're going to end up, you know, being able to achieve whatever we want. And we get the mixture between John and Jen again on this, but it's mixture in between the two of them. So they're layered on top of each other. And it really does a good job too, because it provides more of that hopeful tone to it, especially when you mix the two vocals together. I really do like that. My personal connection to this one is around like 2019, when I was really doing their whole band review that I did on this channel. This was the song that stuck out to me the most on Unleashed that I hadn't heard of beforehand. So not Feel Invincible, not Back from the Dead, not The Resistance, because of its incredibly hopeful tone, and always had me thinking, you know, we can get past this, whatever it might be. And recently on a bike ride along Lake Michigan here in Milwaukee, I was bike riding early in the morning before the sun was up, especially during the coronavirus pandemic, so I could make sure I was away from everybody else. And listening to the song, seeing the sunrise over the lake made me think, you know what, we can beat this virus and we're gonna do it. So this song is just uplifting as hell and I love it. Coming number 8, I have Awake and Alive, and this song has something in there that you'll see as a consistent theme as we go forward, especially into the top 5. And you're going to see the use of the strings, especially the cello in the intro. And what I love about the cello on this one is it gives the song more gusto. It gives the song more depth. It gives the song more range to really work with just from the intro, because it's a smooth sounding cello and it just really hits well, and I absolutely really like it. And, you know, it gives it a real orchestral feeling to it, which I think when Skillet brings in the cello and the strings, they do a great job with it. Well, the rest of the song has a consistent hard rock sound, and the guitar solo is something you don't want to write off because it's a really nice guitar solo. It's the cello that makes this song pop instrumentally. And the reason behind it is because it makes it feel like this song has much more parts to it than it actually does. It just makes the song so much deeper instrumentally and just gives it a wider range of ideas. Now, lyrically, the song's about having the strength through God and like putting it into, you know, the lightest sense, I would say, but like having the strength to get through what you're going through. And vocally, this is probably my favorite one when you're contrasting John and Jen's vocals, because Jen has a much more prominent vocal area in this one because she just sings more and is not really overlayered that much. But just the compare and contrast with the gruffier style of John, you know, when you're kind of being beat down more physically, and Jen's, well, smoother vocals make you feel like you're being beaten down more mentally, but then the chorus, you're being uplifted. I mean, it just all works out so well on this one. My personal connection with this one is, I think this was like probably the second Skillet song I ever heard in my entire life. And after really not getting into it, but then listening to it more in 2019 and going into 2020, it was a song that allowed me to look back at what I all went through between middle of 2017 and April of 2018 and just think, you know, I did it. I got through it. I'm awake. I'm alive. I'm here. So yeah, there's a good personal connection to this one. At number 7, I have the song Feel Invincible. And this song was built to be the anthemic Skillet song that they're, you know, really known for the beginning of their shows, because it makes you want to run through a brick wall and just accomplish whatever you're trying to by feeling invincible. Now, with it being an anthemic song, this song is constructed rather simplistically. Take a look at the guitars. They're not really prominently featured at all, except for the guitar solo, which isn't necessarily the biggest thing in the world. But before the verses, when they do their instrumentals, either in the intro or between chorus and verse, that's when they stand out a little bit more, because they're a little bit of that harder sound to them. But then you get Jen Ledger's drumming, where it's simplistic, but it's just pulse pounding, and it just drives the song the whole entire way, like do 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 do. So it has that driving feel, for that anthemic feel to it, and I absolutely like it, and that's where I think this shines brightest. Now, lyrically, it's all about, you know, with God, you can feel invincible, you can get past whatever obstacles are in your way, and you can go forward and challenge it. And John Cooper's vocals with the gruffier style, they're that anthemic style that just pushes it forward, and they work so well with the pounding drums as we go on in the rest of the song. Jen vocals are a little bit lighter, but they kind of add to it as well. They kind of just bring a little bit more of a compare and contrast style to it as well. Now, my personal connection to this song, when I listen to it, I do get that anthemic feel, like I feel invincible. And this was a song that during that time, that horrible time between middle 2017 and April of 2018, when I actually did something that I accomplished, whether it was getting past maybe a little bit of a barrier that I had been dealing with, or doing well in work, or just doing well in something. Just listening to that song just kind of is like the victory song, just keep going forward, because I felt invincible afterwards. So this song, anytime, you know, I hear it, it's just like, I feel like I've won something, like I defeated something that was in my path. So Feel Invincible is a good one to go with at number 7. Number 6 is the song Save Me, and this is the only song on Victorious that I'm putting on this list. And the reason, because it was, as time has gone on, I love Victorious from the start, but as time has gone on, it's really lost its luster, but Save Me is the only song that really hasn't lost that luster. And I think the reason behind it is because it's got a slower overall pace than some of the more popular anthemic songs like Legendary and Rise Up. But if you listen to the guitar work, they're down-tuned so much more, and they got that deeper, darker tone, make it a little bit more sinister and just not as hopeful, a little bit more, you know, darker driven. And listening to John Cooper say that the older Skillet fans are like this because it sounds like something that might be off the Comatose album, he is absolutely right on this one. The guitar solo does the same, where it keeps that darker, more sinister feel to the song, which I actually do really like on this one. They're higher notes than, you know, most of the song, but you know what? They keep it down tuned overall. Jen's drumming on this one just constantly keeps the beat, and that's all it needs to do. It just needs to keep it going. It just needs to keep the song flowing, and it works out really well. Lyrically, looking at the lyrics and looking at the meaning, this is all about, you know, if people were to see the bad side of you, or like the side that you don't want them to see, would they still love you? And this song, just having the isolated John Cooper vocal in it, I think is the best way to go about it, because just the rougher style vocal with that darker sound really works out, like on a couple of songs we'll see later on in the list. My personal connection to this one is, this is the only song that's really stuck with me very well since Victoria's been released. From the time it was released till now, like, this song really hasn't wavered at all, or gotten older, or really gotten any kind of corny or anything. Like, this song still sticks out well, and it makes me think about my relationships as well, for the people that I love that love me. If it's something that I love this person, and this person doesn't like something I'm like doing, like, you know, like they're seeing the bad side, like I want you to work on it, then I got to think that, you know, maybe it's something I should work on. Maybe it's something that I should really work on in order to make sure that, you know, I have a good relationship with this person, if it's a toxic trait. If it's somewhere a person is trying to change me for the sake of their own agenda, then hell no. Then I got to be, you know, still love myself for that one. And yeah, so this song kind of has that little bit of a gusto to it that I really like. So coming at song number 5, I have the song Comatose. And for Skillet, I mean, this song is probably the one that is their most iconic. This is the one that absolutely put them on the map, and I can easily see why. They intro it with the cello again, and it has a little bit of a higher note content to it, like on Awake and Alive, instead of on songs like Rebirthing or Not Gonna Die. So it has this little bit more upbeat, more hopeful sound to it, and I really do like what it does there, because it keeps it light, keeps it a little bit more epic. And as we get into the verses, they start out rather simplistic, but then they build up into this hard rock sound, and they just kind of build slowly through it. Like the guitars pick up, the drums pick up, everything about it picks up, and it ends up turning into something truly spectacular. And especially the built in the pre-chorus, the Comatose, like, it just adds so much more to it. And that's why the best part of the whole entire song is just the pre-chorus. I mean, there's so much more in this song than the pre-chorus, but I just really like the pre-chorus. course. Lyrically and vocally, I can say no wonder why this is the one that Skillet was put on the map for, because of how deep it is in the connection. Because it's all about a person that when you fall in love with them, you feel like you can't live without them. And this is perfect for John and Corey Cooper, just because of the whole entire relationship they have with each other. And it really does work out well on the sound, because you can hear the more emotional side in the lighter, gruffier sound of John Cooper versus later on in their career, where it just got a little bit rougher and grittier. Like, the lighter sound actually works. And hearing Corey Cooper's vocals on this as well, just to match up with it, it just works out in perfect harmony. So what is my personal connection to Comatose? Well, with it being all about loving someone and not being able to really live without them and just really expressing that emotion, I mean, I listened to this song in that 2017, 2018 period where I was really going through it. And yeah, it hurt because the person I thought I couldn't live without was someone that I, you know, split with, and all of a sudden I realized what a horrible mistake that was, and that I couldn't fix that mistake, so I had to deal with it. However, in the end, what this ended up telling me was, if the person I need to really fall in love with first is my own self. So I thought, you know what? Taking that song and like how it's about another person and flipping it and being on yourself, I think that actually worked out really well for me, so that's why I really like Comatose. At number 4, I have Monster, and this is like the quintessential hard rock song from Skillet, where I think Comatose is like their quintessential. I think Monster is like the quintessential hard rock song that really ensured that they were that successful in pop culture because of how good the song actually is. And why I like it is because it's simplistically hard rock, because the construction is hard and it's just consistent throughout. The guitars don't overpower anything, but you need that guitar work in there, especially with that harder distortion, just to let the song flow very well in the hard rock style. The drumming, it's a little bit picked up as well, and you hear the bass drum every single beat. So Jen's drumming this one just consistently drives it and drives it and drives it, and I really do like that. Take a look at the lyrical content of this one. It's very similar to Save Me, where it's, you know, we all have this bad side and we're trying to hide it from everybody else to present itself. However, you know, sometimes we're going to have to show it because it is part of who we are. And John's vocals, being the rougher, grittier, scratchier kind, really do work well on this, because you really do get a sense of a feel that we all have that dark side to us, and when we become a monster and have that, you know, darker side to us, boom, it's right there. So the personal connection I have with this one is, this was the first Skillet song I actually ever heard, because remember I was in college, I was always watching YouTube videos like Savior from Rise Against, and on the suggested one, Skillet's Monster was always there, and I was like, decided one day, okay, I'll listen to it, and I liked it. It's a great 3-minute track, and if it wasn't for doing that, I mean, I wouldn't have gotten into the rest of this, and the top 3 songs would not have helped me out during that horrible time in life. So let's get to the top 3, because these are good. At number 3, we have the song Whispers in the Dark. And why I like this one is, I mean, we get this great intro because we have this isolated piano from Corey Cooper, and it just creates this much more melodramatic and depressed tone going into the song. So you're not really sure what's going to happen going on through there. But all of a sudden, John's vocals come in, and it makes you feel like, you know, someone is there for you, that someone is there watching over you, making sure that you always have someone there. And I absolutely love it because, you know, it happens throughout the whole entire song, but as you get into it. Now, where the song really stands out is the guitar work, especially in the intro, in the transitions, and in this guitar solo, because it creates this just hard sound through it with this, like, you know, a little bit more like a higher distortion to it, but it just is a beautiful transition overall, and that's where the song absolutely shines. It's a great hard rock track that has a little bit more of this hopeful dystopian tone to it, but that it's always going to be that there's someone there for you. Lyrically, this is about, you know, when you have no one there, that you can always turn to someone, that if God will always be there. And why I like it, because you can relate this one a lot more to other things as well, because it's not as overt, but it really does work out well entirely. And John Cooper's vocals, again, being the rougher style, but a little bit of a cleaner style because it's off the Comatose album, I think it really does work. My personal connection to this one is, I really got into this one as I was going through the band review back in 2019. Like, this is where I first probably heard Whispers in the Dark. And as I heard it, I mean, it really hit me at home because I was able to take a look back and see all the people that had been there for me when I was going through those horrible times, like my family, my best friend, everybody else that was there just checking in on me, making sure that I was okay. So it always made me remember that there's always someone there for you, no matter what. Someone's going to be there for you when you're going through the bad times, and I mean, they're going to be there to help. At At number 2, I have the lead single off of Comatose, and that is Rebirthing. Now, the cello intro really drew me in because it had a much deeper, darker, and like lower tone on the notes. And what I like about that is because it creates this darker sound to the overall song, and it really just popped in my mind. All of a sudden, then the guitars come in, the rest of the song, the rest of the instrumentation comes in, and it's just hard rock sound that just drives throughout the whole entire thing. And I absolutely love every minute of it, especially with the guitars being a little bit more down-tuned as well, and they don't really deviate from that hard rock sound throughout. The drums are not very standoutish, but they don't need to be. They just need to continue to drive that hard rock sound, which they do, and this is a Laurie Peters track, so I have to give credit to Laurie Peters on this one for sure, because it just drives the rest of the song. But one thing with the cello that we do see here as well is that it is consistently used throughout the whole entire track, through the verses and the intro and the transitions. Not really the chorus, because the chorus just goes absolutely hard with the instrumentation. I love it, but bringing that cello in there and keeping it in there for a more consistent sound really does work. Now, lyrically, taking a look at it, seems like, you know, we've been defeated, but we always can come back and be reborn into something and start anew. And I really do like that, because we'll get into that a little bit later. But listening to the vocals, the John Cooper cleaner, rough style, like on Comatose, like on Whispers Dark, really does work well, because when you get to the chorus and he just kind of lets it out even more, ooh, does that work. But then in the chorus as well, we get a little bit of Corey Cooper in there as well with the vocals, and why that works out well too is we just get that contrast that really does work out and give the song a more epic feel to it. Now, why I have a personal connection song, right before I started the My Song a Day project, and right at the time that this was ending, I asked my Amazon Alexa to play Comatose. I wanted to hear that song, and instead she played the album and not the song, and it started out with Rebirthing. And right when I heard that intro, I mean, I was hooked, and it was the perfect song to be at the end of that depression era, because it was like, I'm back, I've defeated it, I've been, you know, reborn. It was perfect for that timing. I mean, you couldn't have been any better, and I absolutely love this song. But there's one more that just stands out so much more to me, and you gotta hear why. So before I get into the best Skillet song of all time, we have to go through some honorable mentions. So here we go. So, in my opinion, the best song from Skillet is Not Gonna Die. And why do I like that song? Because when you listen to it, starting out with the cello is higher pitch, it's rapid, but what it does is it creates this angst and anxiety feel, like you're not really necessarily sure where the song's gonna go. Because you listen to something like Rebirthing or Comatose or Awake and Alive, you get the cello in there, but you know kind of where the song is going. This, you have no idea what they're going to end up going with. All of a sudden, the instrumentation hits, and it just drives hard as all hell. It's a great hard rock song that has a good amount of pace to it. And as they go through the verses, I mean, the cello stays in the verses to add to, because you get the guitar then the cello, guitar then the cello. It works out so well to keep this just epic drive feel to it that Not Gonna Die really does represent. The drumming from Jen here as well stands out in the transitions between the chorus and the verse, and the intro and the verse. But what I love about it is because it's hard, but it matches so well with the hard guitar work and just that rapid feel overall. It's a great driver, and this song just has that epic anthemic driving feel to it throughout the whole entire song that I can't get enough of. Vocally, we do get the rougher, gruffer style from John Cooper, which is what we need on this song, because it drives the song so well with the rest of the underlying instrumentation. It doesn't waver. Jen does have some parts here as well, especially in the pre-chorus, and it really just adds much more dimension to the song. Like, it just kind of takes it, the verse that are going up, then it kind of just dips them down a little bit just to kind of mellow you out, and then the chorus hits, and it just hits you smack dab in the face, and I absolutely love it throughout the whole entire thing. Now, lyrically, this is all about not giving up and not dying, and saying, you know, things are going to get me down, things are going to keep me from going forward, but I'm going to be able to defeat this. You know, this is how it feels to be bent and broken. This is how it feels when your dignity stolen. Dignity. Yes, dignity. I mean, that really hurts. It's home. It really hurts. But all of a sudden, this is how it feels when you take your life back. This is how it feels when you finally fight back. Just the arc that this song takes, or really takes a look at, you know, you being bent and broken down, but all of a sudden you rising up above that challenge, or rising up through that adversity and not dying. Ooh, absolutely perfect from Skillet. This is the song they needed to make, and they did. So the personal connection of this song is, this is the song that when the depression and the suicidal tendencies were at their absolute highest and I did feel like I couldn't go on anymore, Not Gonna Die was the song that I would listen to make me think that I could get past it and motivate me to get past it. So say I was in the gym and those feelings were just taking over me and I just couldn't go any further, I'd put on Not Gonna Die and knock out that next set just to keep going because I wasn't gonna let it get me down. I listened to this when I was at work and just completely losing my mind over what my life was becoming because I could see the future of it and it was so grim and bleak for what I wanted to do. So I would end up just like trying to figure out like, how can I keep going forward before, you know, this stuff takes over, before the depression, before the suicidal tendencies really take over and just completely end up wiping me out. And this song helped me get through it. And, you know, I always just use the song to, you know, just when things were getting the best of me overall, like when I couldn't sleep to when I couldn't stop thinking about that one girl. I would use this song just to remember that you can defeat this, you can do this. And again, overall, this was the song that kept me going and made sure that I would not give up during that time. And every time I hear it, I'm reminded of how much I refused to give up during that time, and it has so much meaning to me, but it wouldn't have that meaning if it wasn't for the rapid pace and the instrumentation of the cello and the vocal style throughout the whole entire thing. Just how powerful of a song it is. It deserves to be #1 on anybody's list. I don't care what you say. Man, for me, Not Gonna Die is always going to be the top Skillet song ever. I don't think they're going to beat it, but I don't want them to. It's the best. Well, everybody, that's my top 10 list of Skillet songs of all time. This one was a little bit of an interesting one to go through as well, just because I kind of opened up a little bit more about that hard time between 2017 and 2018 that I went through with depression, with suicidal tendencies. And I really wanted to do this one because of how much Skillet songs kept me going and made me realize how far it actually come from being at my absolute worst to now being in a position that I'm absolutely happy in, especially doing stuff like this and talking about music. So I felt like I really needed to make this one, and even during like COVID-19, maybe, you know, maybe the best time to put out, maybe not the best time to put out, I don't care. I just felt like I really wanted to do this one. So Skillet top 10 songs were the way to go. If you like the video, give me the like. If you dislike, give me the dislike. But put your top 10 Skillet songs in the comments below and what you think of my take on all their songs as well that I put on here. If you are not subscribed to the My Song Day channel, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon. Be notified when I release videos every single Wednesday and the podcast episodes every single Tuesday. Get those out of here. Please follow us on social media like Facebook. You're going to find anytime anything gets released on Facebook. Twitter, same thing, but it's really easy to talk to us on Twitter. Instagram is our biggest platform. You'll get the 30-second Song of the Day feature on all three. The announcements of YouTube videos and podcasts on all three. Instagram, we ask you a lot more questions. We do an IGTV series every single Tuesday, which is more behind the scenes look at what we're doing here. And we also do our Instagram live streams every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Central. You can come hang out with us for like an hour, talk with us about music or whatever the heck else we get into. So link description below for all those. Get those out here. Time to talk about the Chord Progression Podcast. It is our very own podcast, and we do a lot of things on there, such as talk to a lot of the emerging bands in the scene that are going to be coming up and talking to other fans as well. I mean, we've talked to bands like Sing the Canvas, E-Line, GFM, Kill the Blonde, Amongst Giants. And we've also talked with fans such as, we've talked to E4, we've talked to Anthony, we just talked to James, so we've got that going on. If you want to be on the podcast, let us know. You can watch the podcast episodes on YouTube right here, or you can listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play. The link in the description below for all those. Get those out here. And if you're not able to our Amazon Alexa skill, I suggest you do that. Reason because you can hear the whole entire Song of the Day feature on that. And the Song of the Day feature is the most important thing because that's what's going to help us grow rock and metal and get people interested in it. So it's going to help you fall in love with bands you used to love, fall in love with new bands you're going to love. It's going to even go further than that and just allowing you to expand your rock music knowledge and to join our community and appreciate it with everyone else that appreciates rock and metal music. And on Saturdays, you can hear small bands with Small Band Saturdays, so you can get in the know with the emerging bands coming through the 2020s. So be sure to follow that, enable that, and I want to thank you guys for watching this video. This was a little bit of a tough one to make because of how personal the reason why I like all these songs are, especially given the fact that they all relate to the worst time of my life. But you know what? If it wasn't for these songs, I probably wouldn't be here right now. So I think I kind of, you know, owe a lot to these songs just because of how much they mean to me. So thanks for watching. This is Kevin from the My Song Day Rock 2000 a Day YouTube channel. You guys know I'm still going to end this video the same way I try, with the hat flip. Bounce off my head though. So see ya!